Hi everyone, myself Sahil Gupta. I am a PhD candidate in Rochester Institute of Technology, New York, in Computer Science Department. One of our short paper got selected in ICMP 2021. The paper title is Simple Deep Packet Inspection in P4. In this paper, we have shown a simple DPI technique in programmable data plane. Today, in this video, I am recording an experiment showing how can we leverage TCAM memory in data plane to accomplish the task. I have already recorded a video in the playlist that explains the work. Please watch that video and read our paper to get more details of this work. In short, we have domain name present in 3 protocol headers: HTTP GET request, TLS client hello, and DNS request header. We conduct a short survey on all these packets by probing top 100 Alexa website using both Windows 10 and Ubuntu Linux 18.04 LTS version to figure out the location of these domain names in packets. Plus, we use 3 most popular browsers: Mozilla Firefox, Google Chrome, and Microsoft Edge to probe these websites. From there, we got some interesting results about the location of domain name in packet headers. Again, please refer to my ICMP 2021 demo session video in this playlist for more details. In this video, I'm going to show you different artifacts and code programs that we have created to demonstrate the practical implementation of the concept. We initially automate the process of converting high-level patterns into low-level data planes. This helps us to scale the experiment up to any number of websites to be blocked from client side. Then we created traffic generator script for client side node and some standard server programs for server node. Data plane run P4 code to inspect pattern in TCP and UDP payload. Now, let's look in all these artifacts in details from my remote Ubuntu cluster present in RIT infrastructure. Now, this is my remote RIT cluster node running Ubuntu 18.04 LTS version. So here's a short plan for this video. First, I will go through some artifacts or components that are required in order to run the experiments. Then I'll show you a practical, so I'll run an experiment. So a practical implementation of the experiment for all the 3 cases: TLS, DNS, and HTTP. Finally, I conclude this video by telling you about what are our future plans, and there will be announcement in the end. So the first artifact is emulation setup. We have used a behavioral model software data plane designed by the P4 community. That is embedded in the Mininet setup. Then we have our own data plane code, control plane CLI, P4 runtime library to interact with the P4 objects. And then we also have a diagram of a topology that we have used to conduct the experiment. You need to pre-install a couple of things before you can start coding your own P4 program and then try to run your own client scripts and server-side scripts. So these are gRPC servers, Mininet, behavioral model, so protobuf libraries. You need to set up everything in your Ubuntu machine. So I use Ubuntu machine. The more details about them you can get from p4.org. It's a very good website to get started with the hardware, software, whole P4 ecosystem and tutorials. There is a dedicated repositories for behavioral model, that is your software data plane, tutorials, compilers, some specifics. So these 2 are really great resources to learn about the P4 programming language and programmable data plane in general. Now coming back to our agenda. Let's see the topology that I'm using. Difference in data plane. And tutorials. Size. Topology. Protocol. So this is the topology that we have used. On H1 node, my client-side scripts run. So my traffic generator basically program runs that interact with my servers, different kind of a server, that is HTTPS, HTTP, and DNS server on H2. And S1 runs my simple deep packet inspection program. In H3 node, we run NDPI, which is an intrusion detection system, which helps you to detect patterns within the packets. So this is the state of the art that we have used to compare. Now, defense in second artifact is the script that help us to gather our network metrics. So we generate PCAP files from ETH1 and ETH2 interface. Okay. So from these both interfaces, our PCAP, so we collect PCAP data, PCAP file from both of these interfaces, and then that I fed into my program in order to gather the network metrics. Yeah, maybe in the end of the experiment, I'll show you how our program helps to gather the different kind of a matrix from the PCAP files. So basically, it's like you input the PCAP files, and then you will get your network metrics, like your switch delay, your packet processing time, etc. The third artifact is our low-level data plane rules. So for that also, we have created automata. Yeah, here. So this is our Python file. Basically, what it do is it collect input URLs. So it takes a pattern and it generates an output file. So what it do is basically it takes the pattern to be blocked or domain name to be blocked and output the corresponding low-level data planes. Now this really helps us to scale the experiments. Now we don't have to write manually all the low-level data plane rules. Automatically this give you as an input, you just fed the file, and as an output, it will produce those low-level data plane rules. And an example of this is one of the corresponding output file. You can see these are the low-level data plane rules that we fed from the control plane in the match action table, TCAM match action table. Now let's move to where we are. Okay. So now, yeah, 435. Alexa top 700 websites. So these two URL contain all the Alexa top 700,000 websites. So 700K, out of which we just use for the demonstration purpose top 50 websites from this list. Then fifth is baseline code. So it's a basic normal router code, which is your main tutorials exercise. Uh, I think, yeah, this one. This is a basic program that run the normal forwarding. So this is basically a normal forwarding program. What it does is it checks the IP address, and based on that, it forwarded to corresponding port. The rules of which we will install from the control now. And against this, we have tested our TCAM program. Then our own TCAM program, like our own middle box DPI program that uses the TCAM memory. Let's go through that. Let me check. Okay. So I think there are, let me check, where is it? I think, yes, here it is. So there are 3 data plane programs. So in order to understand how we construct the experiment, first, we have developed 3 traffic generator scripts corresponding to 3 protocols. First, the DNS block.sh, HTTP doc.sh, HTTPS underscore block.sh. And what they do is basically they all take top 50 Alexa websites from this list, testalexa.txt, and they try to make a connection. So for HTTP and HTTPS, there is Nginx server that is running on the H2 node, and they try to make a connection with that H2 node. So using curl script, we try to generate traffic at random, 10 parallel connection at a time. So for all the 50 websites, we make a 10 connection at a time. So total 5 iterations at a random interval. Same thing with HTTPS. It's just try to make an HTTPS connection. For DNS, we have run the DNS MASQ server utility, Linux utility, and we converted this Ubuntu machine as one of the DNS server. And then we try to fetch the records over the switch. So this is our traffic generator programs. I think for server programs, I think Nginx and DNS MASQ utility we are running. And now these are 3 different solutions. For DNS, we have this solution. This is our data plane program. And for our concern right now, for demonstration purposes, these 20 bytes are sufficient to inspect for the pattern. And here we have use another table that using TCAM memory. And so the assumption here is the pattern lies somewhere in these bytes. To get the more detail about how we are sure about that, you can check our video explaining the concept. So we have done a short survey actually, as I explained, and we try to figure out where it approximately lies. Now, same thing with HTTP. Similarly, 20 bytes where we believe the domain pattern lies, and they get impacted here in TCAM memory. Here, as an action, we try to convert the same packet back into one of the reset packets and reflect back to the original client. Same thing in the TLS. You can observe that this byte, that is your initial offset, what we call as Y, this Y variable. So up length up to this part, up to TCP, what we call as X variable. This is the Y variable. This is also changing per protocol. And then again, the 20 bytes. Here also we inspect those bytes using TCAM memory. And then finally, we are converting the same packet into a reset packet and reflecting that back. Same thing with the DNS. But here, the difference is in DNS because there is no TCP connection. So, I mean, you cannot have a reset packet. So what we are doing here is we are just for the symmetry point of view, we are just reflecting back the same packet to the client to terminate the connection. And it works very well. It terminates the connection as well. Now, let's check. Okay, so now let's get back. So these are all the programs: data plane program, client programs, and server programs. Now, NDPI. NDPI is a state-of-the-art middle box solution, one of the used middle box solution. Here, what we have done is basically we mirror the packet, one part of the packet from switch S1 to S3, S2, and then to H3 to get analyzed. So imagine so it's act as a one of the ideas that running on a separate node, and we mirror the packet towards that. In order to do that, I think in its P4 file, what we have done, we have clone the packet. So this function helps to clone the packet. And as you can see, this is a so you clone the packet and insert a session ID 5. And then let's check this is the topology. There is one command that we run on the, oh yeah, I remember. I think there is some mirror command that we run from the control plane such that the packet get transferred to the particular port that we have mentioned. But anyway, for the demonstration purposes, that is sufficient to do. Basically, just port mirror the packet to port number 3. So yeah, it works like that. So when the packet comes here, it actually port mirror it to 3. When it reaches there, the switch S3 port mirrors is to 2, and then this one port mirrors to 1. So I think let's get back to our agenda. So yeah, NDPI. So these 3 commands are very important that you need to send to control plane, mirroring underscore add. So packet with the session ID 5, you mirror it to 3. So if you can see this diagram, For S1 switch, we will instruct switch to send it to 3. For S3, we will instruct it to send it to 2, replicate the packet and send it to 2. And then for S2, you can instruct it to send it to 1. You can do either this way, or you can also install a rules that whatever comes from port 1, you just reflect to port 2. Whatever comes from port 4, reflect to 1. It's up to you, the way you want to do it. Now, next final thing is results. Results, tutorial, exercises. We have our results folder here. Yeah. So finally, when we collect our PCAP files and we process it through our Python script to collect the results, so we return a SCAPI-based Python script in order to absorb the PCAP files and extract out the packet data, and in order to collect the following results. For example, for CPU memory, we use different scripts. So all these things: RTT, switch delay, throughput, and web responses. You can see these are the finally processed. This is the packet ID, and or I think yeah, this is the packet ID and different packet IDs. Oh, sorry, these are the flow IDs, not the packet ID. So this is corresponding flow, and corresponding to each flow, you have different packets going back and forth. For example, SYN, SYNAC, then you have this HTTP request. Some are blocks. You can see, but some are passed out. For example, HTTP request, then ACK, FINAC, ACK, SYNAC, HTTP response, and FINAC. So basically, we process this whole PCAP data into very simplified text file. And finally, we calculated from this data, we finally calculate average RTT, throughput, switch delay, and web responses. Now let's. So writing a script also help us to scale up the project instead of watching it through Wireshark and then subtracting out the values and making an average. It's writing a script is way better option if you want to conduct experiment at scale and want the data to be analyzed. So basically, the results folder, basically we wrote a script in which all our PCAP files from those from ingress and egress port get analyzed, and we get a sum of our network network metrics. So now, after showing the artifacts, different artifacts, it's time for discussing the experiments. So let me briefly start with the design of the experiment. I think as I already told, that we use a Mininet setup in order to create the nodes and the switches, network interfaces, and virtual network interfacing and other things. I have already shown you the traffic generator scripts. When we'll run the program, I'll show you the server programs and their configuration. I think these two things are new. Usually what we do is, I think I already shown you the result, the data plane rules. There is a command line utility called Simple Switch CLI that runs the control plane programs. And so here you start your Mininet setup using sudo make command. It automatically initialize every other tools Mininet. It automatically start running the gRPC servers, the switch programs, and then you can interact with each of the switch using this command. By default, it connects to switch 1, but what you can do, using _trip port, you can specify the port where the specific gRPC server correspond to the switch is running. From simple netstat command, you can figure out where which switch is running. So for our purpose, simple switch command CLI will work because we are installing all the rules in the switch S1. And then here we are going to check the Nginx log file. So yeah, so basically here we run Mininet, here we run control plane program, and there we are going to double check the Nginx log file to just show that the connection has not been made and interrupted by our data plane program. Let's go back to agenda. Then the final thing after control plane and data plane is final result scripts and level data plane rules. Yep, sure, we can go there. So let's start with the low level data plane rules. We already visited this folder, so I deleted already deleted the results file. So I mean, and this is the best part. You don't have to write all the low level data plane rules by yourself. What you can do, you can run this control Python script, and then it should automatically, I think it automatically input as to URL file. Util.py is also so some separate functions written here, which is utilized in this control plane rule converter file. Now let me just run this program, and it has generated the it has generated this output, your tcam rules control plane rules.txt and ASCII values. The ASCII values are very important, just because we install the rules. I mean, all the characters are represented using either decimal or ASCII values when you construct a control plane rules. So this is the temporary file that's created, and using that temporary file, I think you can see. So for example, you want to censor google.com, right? Now we have parsed 20 bytes, and correspondingly, you can see there will be a number of rules. So for example, google.com can be at a first place, start from the first byte, and then remaining bytes will be don't care. It could start from second byte, and then the remaining will be don't care, and the first one is a don't care. So this don't care special property of the TCAM is really good, that we can leverage to construct the rules that helps us to filter the program. So whenever they match with any of the patterns, right? So obviously on the flip side, the flip side is, let's say if you parse too many bytes and your URL is small that you want to filter, or domain name is small, then you're going to have multiple rules because you are not sure where they are lying. So you have to cover up all the remaining bytes with the don't care. So you see for each rules Alexa top 50, like wikipedia.org, whatever, vivo.com, we have the corresponding rules. So if you want to block 10 URLs, just copy paste these rules. Copy paste first 10 rules correspond to the URL and fed it to control plane. Using control plane program, fed it to a data plane. So it's very easy. Just run this script and you will get your final TCAM. Now let's cross this. So this is automatically creating the low level data plane rules. Now let's move to, so this is the files I was talking about. We usually use these two files, ingress and egress files from both the virtual interfaces. This will go as an input. And then what we do is, we run this command. Just open the terminal here. We use this command, and you will see it creates the results.txt file. Okay, I think it's still getting processed. Yeah. Okay, let's see. Okay, now it's processed. So we should be able to see the output. So you can see it. There is a unique flow ID number that we created, and corresponding all the packets correspond to that particular flow. The brief summary of the packets are mentioned here. So for example, you can see, so whatever the packets been going through here and there, those are mentioned here. So you can see, for example, I think this is a client hello. So I think this is these files are correspond to one of the TLS experiments. So you can see a client hello packet goes and then server hello packet comes, and you will find some initial connections that those are blocked. Oh, sorry. I think what I want to say is, so these are the packet summaries basically, and the finally the results are average RTT, average throughput, average. The definitions of these are present here. So you can just check this file, results.py. I mean, explaining this required a separate video, so I'm just going very briefly. It basically process all the ingress and egress packets, and it will provide me these 4 detail in the end. So for example, what is a switch delay is basically when the packet enter into the ingress program, and then my middle box logic, the simple DPI logic, process the packet in a certain way, and then it get out of the egress pipe, egress port. Now, what is the time taken starting from the ingress to egress? That has been measured by, that is what we call as a switch delay. Similarly, web response delay is something, let me check. Yeah, so basically web response delay is when your packets enter into the ingress, and then finally it reaches to the server, and then server send back a response. So either it could be a normal response if it's a normal connection, or either it could be a reset packet that itself is induced by the switch. Now, let's move again back to our agenda. So again, no hassle, just collect the PCAPs and just run this script. It will automatically generate the results. So you don't need to go through earlier. I mean, what we used to do is we used to check the Wireshark, like packets in the Wireshark, and note down the timestamps, and then try to collect the different statistics. Look at the size of the bytes to get the throughput and all other things. So now we don't need to do that. We automatically can do through our Python script. Okay. So I'll take a break here. Now I'm going to run sample one of the TLS experiment, DNS experiment, and HTTP experiment, just to show you the how we prototype this in behavioral modeling. Okay, guys. So first, I'll show you my TLS experiment. For that, I enter into my folder. I name it TCAM, just basically the kind of solution or kind of memory we are using to put our solution. So let me put, So corresponding to the three protocols, we have a 3p4 file. We can merge this also, and we can create a one single p4 file which detect the protocol, and then later on can parse the application header. So you can branch it before head also. Now we replace basic.p4 with the tcam file. You can see this is the value of y. TCP IP Ethernet header. This is up to value of x, value of y, value of z. And let's open up the terminal. Are all the files that we are going to use. I'm running a Mininet setup. Now my Mininet setup is running. Okay, is some error. Clean stuff. Let's run it again. Okay, yeah, correct. Now it's running. So if in case some of people don't know about Mininet, there is a website called mininet.org, which contain all the details of basic Mininet commands. For us, I'm just going to open up H1 and H2 terminal. And this is where I'm going to run my control plane utility program. Now here, if you want to know more about options available in this utility program, you can type help, and you can see all the different available, directly available utilities within this command line prompt. But for us, what we need is control plane rules, which we are going to get it from here. So, I mean, for the demonstration purposes, I am going to filter out Alexa top first 10 websites. I think a little bit my internet connection is slow. I'm also like, this is a remote machine. So okay, now I'm going to, I hope all the rules are installed. Yes, 105 entry. So I install all so for 10 websites, for Alexa top first 10 websites, I have installed the rules. So I'm going to probe Alexa top 50 websites. I have made some DNS settings so that it always resolve to my H2 host IP address. And out of 50, it's going to block, my data plane program is going to block the connection for first 10 websites. Okay, let's go. We have written here. Before I run the experiment, let me run a Wireshark. So we can see a live demonstration, how it looks like. So I'm going to snoop on S1 ETH1 connection. As for your reference again, I'm snooping on this particular link between host 1 and switch 1, S1. So between S1 and H1, this particular link, which is donated by one. So I'm snooping on that. Now let's check. All right. So now it's snooping. It's time to run the experiments. Before running, let me show you the Nginx log. Currently, there is nothing. Okay. Okay. I'm going to. So first, I'm going to run. I have configured my Nginx to run HTTP server at port 80 and HTTPS at port 443. And there is a different kind of a tunable parameters, which is not required here. But as you can see in nginx.conf, I have configured the Nginx server so that it run both with a certain specific parameters. Now I'm running that on my H2. You can check. The process is running on Nginx. So you can see these many threads are running. Now we are here, so we can test. I mean, since we have installed the HTTPS, so we are going to run a client traffic generator script. So this is my traffic generator scripts. Okay, let's see what happened. Let us see what happens in the Wireshark. So simple. Let me show you. So in TLS client hello, there is some field called SNI field, server name indication field, that contain our domain name. For example, Amazon.com. The moment my data plane program detects this pattern, it immediately converts that packet to an RST packet. Same thing with the other packets, same with the first 20 packets. I mean, first 10 connections. So for first 10 websites, it blocked the connection. As you can see, it sent the RST packet to, let me show you one packet. Okay. As you can see, it's sending my data plane is sending connection back to the client machine. I think we can check back to the client script. Oh, and the experiment is finished. For you can see it's returning but one sample HTML page, static HTML page that I have created, and returning back the values. So I probed total 50 websites. You can see that from my block website. So this is the input file. It contained total 50. You can see line number 50. So there are total 50 websites. But let's see what the Nginx log contains. So it has two logs, access log and error log. So let's see the access log. You can see let me check. So you can see the connections that are only allowed to leave because of the pattern that I have installed here. So I think that kind of conclude this total. Yeah, there might be some couple of retransmissions because of some delay induced by my program. So just let me show you again the scripts that are being used here. Close without saying. The scripts are here. So I run HTTP blocks. You can see here I am running HTTPS. So there is a for loop running, reading the websites from this file. For loop from this contain 50 websites. It's sitting on each website, and I'm blocking only first 10 Alexa website. And all the connections are running in parallel. So I use this script, which kind of create multiple threads in the shell, and one thread is handling one connection. Yeah. So let's do similar thing for the HTTP. Let me check the agenda. So I think these are my rules. Okay, so I have shown you Mininet. I have opened up the shells host. I have run the Wireshark. I've shown you the control plane rules, and I already shown you the data plane. So data plane basically is important. The important part in data plane is the way I'm parsing the application layer header. And the second part is the way I'm using the TCAM header. And the third important component is the RST action, which converting the same packet into an RST packet. So first thing is at a parser level, you are parsing application header layer. In ingress control block, there are two important parts. One is a table. Apart from IPv4 forwarding table, there is one table which is inspecting the bytes and then basically taking the decision. And the second important part is the action that I'm taking, that is the reset packet action. So I have shown you a log, Wireshark, and I have shown you the reset packet correspond to one of the censored website like Amazon.com. Show the results. I have already shown you a sample results. We do this for example, this one is for 10. We do this for all 10, 20, 50, up to the 50 patterns. So imagine, my H1 node run. So that is my plan, that we vary the number of patterns to be matched in the quantum of, let's say, 10, and see how it impacts the delay, switch delay, throughput, etc. Of course, the results here cannot be trusted because it's a software data plane. So you don't get reliable results. But for prototyping purposes, this software data plane is really useful. And once you prototype here, and let's say if you have a real physical infrastructure, then you can port your programs to the real switches. Okay. Let me go through the HTTP first, because we're going to use the same rules. For DNS, there is some change in the low-level rules because the way it sort of represents the dot pattern in that. Okay, let me quickly. Now you use exit command to quickly exit the thing. Once you exit, all the virtual interfaces, everything get cleaned up. So what we're going to do is we're going to get out of it. You can see there is an error here because once we kill all the processes, there is no gRPC server running on the software data plane. So there is no server binary, the switch binary is running, and because of which it lose the connection. Wireshark, let's keep Wireshark running. And what we can do here is let's remove the files. Again, and let's, so nothing is there. So Nginx will going to generate the file again. Let's clean other data. So it's basically clean all the connection that might be remaining from Mininet, as well as clean the PCAPs and other things. Okay, now I need to change the basic for file. I'm going to use the HTTP TCAM solution. I'm going to replace it. And let's see. As you can see, the Y has changed here. Earlier it was, I think, 1224. Now it is 128. Up to TCP, X, up to this is Y, this is, so I think this plus this is your Y, and these are your Z. That's, so this is our program. I'm just showing you again into important and crucial programs. The reset action part and the sensor table. These are the three crucial components. Again, I'm just repeating for the sake of it. Parsing of application layer header, TCAM match action table, and the action. Let's close it. Okay, so we are going to again copy the same rules. So now we're going to run this again. Once this is run, yes, I'm going to restart the control plane program. Going to paste again the same rules. Again, same 100.05 rules correspond to the 10 domain name. Again, again run on S1 H1 interface, which is a link between H1 and S1. Switch. Now Nginx, nothing. Rules are installed. Run again. Nginx server, again same Nginx server, nginx.conf file. Going to generate traffic. This time instead of HTTP block, I'm going to run HTTPS block. I'm going to run HTTP block. Check. Something is wrong. Let me check. Oh, I forget to start the Nginx server. Sorry, it's my fault. Let me kill the connection. I think it's going to be over. So let's rerun it again. All I need to do is stop. Let's capture again. Close without saving. Let's have a fresh start. It was my mistake. Sorry, I forget to run the Nginx server. Now it's running, I guess. Let's check. Okay. Now let's check the Wireshark for the details. So HTTP GET request. In HTTP GET request, you have a host like google.com here, right? And you're getting corresponding reset packet. Then again, same thing, youtube.com. So Alexa top 10 URL. The difference is that I run an HTTP server. So I have configured a DNS records in my own machine such that everything resolve to this particular IP. And when I run when using curl, when I run HTTP protocol or client protocol, or when I run HTTPS client protocol. So depending on the kind of a protocol I'm running, it is trying to make connection defaultly to port 80 and port 443 in H2 server. So yep, I think that's it. And I think now after a while, okay, you start seeing the response also, because I only blocked the first 10 URL. And after that, you are able to see the responses. So again, same, my HTTP data plane program is able to block the connection based on matching by performing a simple string matching, a DPI technique in data plane. Again, this is also done now. Let me check. Let's go back to agenda again. I think we can close these rules down. We can. Okay, I think one remaining thing is DNS. Same thing. But before going to DNS, let's check the logs. Again, the all the allowed connection, the connection which are properly established are logged. I think now we can. We are exiting the whole setup. Done. Again, since everything is cleaned up, the control plane program is not connecting with anything, with any of the switch program. Nginx is there. Now let's work on final DNS protocol. DNS, this one. Let's replace this. Double check that it get copied. So after UDP, in this case, up to UDP, you have whatever the number, the length of the packet up to UDP is your X. And then this is your Y, and these are your Z. Again, I recommend to like go through the paper again, just in case you want to know what's X, Y, and Z represents. Same thing, critical components, parsing of application layer header, matching it using TCAM memory, and performing actions. Now I'm closing this down. Let's clean all the thing, all the connection, and whatever leftover is with the Mininet. Now Let's run it again. Let's clean this screen also. Let's run the control plane program. Our data plane program and mininet infrastructure is set up. Now we need to get DNS based rules. Right. And we're going to again copy all the rules. In the control plane. Paste. 105. Wireshark. Let's see. CD. So we need to get into /users admin where you have this DNS MSQ utility. It runs the DNS servers and all the records are already present in the corresponding files. So I'm going to run this and I'm going to run this. This basically it contained DNS client script. Let me show it to you. Block website. So it used dig utility to send the DNS to interact with the DNS server. Mininet infrastructure. Let's run it. Oh, I'm sorry, I forget to run Wireshark on S1 just to show you. Okay, I'll rerun it again. Continue without saving. Okay. Now let me run it again. Now what you will observe very interestingly, basically what I'm doing, I'm just reflecting back the same DNS query just to show a proof of concept that our DNS application layer header is also getting inspected. Or after, I guess, 20 connection. Right, because first packet is 1. So after 20 connection, you see for every query, you are getting a response. That is your 10 dot. What's the value? Answer is 10.0.2. It's a local IP assigned to H2 host. Before that, everything was just reflected back. Basically, basically it get inspected first 10 connections, first 10 domain name inspected from the DNS query, and switch itself reflect back the packet. It could drop the packet also. Since it's a UDP protocol, so it doesn't make sense to convert the packet into RST. That would be a complicated task as well because you need to add a new header that contain all the TCP fields and everything. So basically this shows a proof of concept that my DNS data plane program is able to inspect the application layer header and reflect the whole packet back. And after 10 connection, yes, it is like allowing the DNS packet to go through the switch and server process it and send back the response. So with this, all the 3 protocols has been shown, demonstrated. Let's exit. Let me see what's on our agenda. So you see the DNS script here. Okay, so guys, with this, I have shown you all the demonstration for all the three protocols, corresponding data plane programs, traffic generator scripts, the server utilities program, and other scripts that help me to automatically generate the low-level data plane rules, as well as to analyze the network performance metric from the PCAP files. To get more information about this programmable P4 language and other artifacts of P4 runtime and programmable data plane in general, please follow this website, p4.org. There you will find a lot of useful resources, blogs, learning resources, ecosystem, and then there is a GitHub channel, GitHub repositories, different kind of GitHub repository. It's an open source project. All the aspects of it are open source. You can contribute also. And with that, I think it's done. So yeah, this is my first video recording. I try to cover all the aspects of my experiment briefly. In future, we are trying to acquire a new switch, P4 switch, through which we will going to interface it with a gateway router, and other two ports we're going to connect with the Ubuntu machine, and we try to probe the websites in real time and measure the performance of switch in real time. So again, that's the objective here. So in future, what we need to do, we need to do two things. First, we are actually running our analysis for 10,000 websites. So what we are going to do, we are writing some Scapy based scripts, and we are going to probe 10,000 websites, both from Windows as well as from Linux machine, from Ubuntu. And we are going to probe 10,000 websites automatically through scripts. And then we are going to collect the PCAP files. And through our Python based Scapy scripts, we are going to analyze the location of the domain name. So we're going to analyze X, Y, Z, and remaining packet length. And based on some statistical analysis, we try to figure out what could be the appropriate length to be parsed after TCP or UDP. So basically within the TCP payload or UDP payload, such that with a high accuracy, we can be sure that the pattern is present somewhere there. So that will be one study that we need to conduct. We are actually working over it, and I think it's almost done also. And once our switch comes, based on the results of that study, we are going to figure out an appropriate location for all the three protocols, DNS, TLS, and HTTP. And then we are going to probe the website in a real time using a real switch. And then through PCAPs, we're going to collect all the required metrics. And maybe in future version, future version of the full paper, we try to report those metrics and our experience with a real switch. So for prototyping, it's really a great tool, this behavioral model. And then we also working on a technique through which we don't really need to worry about the location of the string as such. And we want 100%, we are working over also a technique through which you can actually inspect complete payload, TCP payload, and then allow packet to move or not. And that's a separate work that we are doing to improve the accuracy and to see the system performance within that technique. So with that, I'm concluding this video. And there is an announcement, guys. If any one of you who belongs to either industry or maybe some lab, I'm looking for an internship and co-op for upcoming summer. Potentially looking to convert that into a full-time employment. I mostly I can get I think I get graduate as per my records, I think I will graduate in August or in December. So depending the rejection and the selection of the upcoming papers. So still I'm looking for a co-op or internship for the summer, and want to convert, I mean, and also looking forward that particular opportunity can be converted into full-time employment. So you can contact me via my email, that is email sg5414@rit.edu, in case you have some suitable opportunity or in your organization, or you can contact me via my LinkedIn. Let me show you. This is my LinkedIn profile. All of my certification, trainings, publications, and subjects, everything is mentioned here. You can check all my project works that I have done, previous past NSF projects that we have completed. You can also view my GitHub repository. Once we are done with our experiment with the real switch, we will open source our program, all the data plane program. This is my repository, GitHub repo. You can see a couple of projects which are public there. Couple of very old work are also available in my Google website here. Though the website is not finished, but at least all my previous records, old records working with the opportunistic networks and other simulators is here. So guys, let me know if you know some opportunities. This is my resume. You can see my research projects. My some professional experience. I have contributed previously to some open source communities as well. And currently I'm teaching Introduction to Cybersecurity course to my students. I've also experience in mentoring 4 RAs for different projects throughout the span of my PhD, and one capstone project related to different projects again. So guys, again, thanks for watching this whole series. I hope you like it. Please, in case you have any further queries in implementation, or if you have any query in concepts or anything, please do contact me or my team. We are happy to answer all of your queries and questions. Thank you very much.